Hello, everybody. Everybody, hello. I am so sorry that I am joining you all so late. I think this is one of the few times I've ever come on this late, but I had a really good excuse. I was spending time with my family. Um, Before I get started, there are a couple of bills to pay. First of all, hit that subscribe button, hit it, smash it, obliterate it, destroy it. We're still at 410. The goal is to get to at least 500 um, by, I want to say the end of like the first week of June. I think we can hit 90 more. So, and subscribing is literally free of charge. Doesn't cost you anything to subscribe. So hit that subscribe button. You can also support me on Patreon. Patreon support is $2 per month. It allows me to buy better equipment. As you can see, I desperately need. Um, with the cost of running this podcast or these podcasts, because I have more than one, um, your financial support would be greatly appreciated. It starts at $2 per month. Remember to go and fund my GoFundMe account or campaign. I'm trying to raise $2,500 for personal expenses that I have. Um, please consider doing that. Any amount helps. And remember, every third Thursday, we are having an after party after the Tracy show. So remember to sign up for that. Let's get started. So we're going to be doing a lot of screen sharing today. But as usual, there are 156 days until the NFL season starts. Counting it down, the draft is the 23rd. Of course, you all know won't be any discussion of politics on that date. Um, and we'll just keep going. So you see the title. This is my annual Easter show program. First of all, I want to say happy Easter to all those that celebrate. This is our day to celebrate the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead. If you are not Christian, um, there may be some things, if you have questions, definitely let me know. Um, but this show is something I've done for, let's see, I've been on YouTube for 5 years. I've done an Easter show every Easter since then. I'm going to keep doing an Easter show. Usually I have a guest on, and that guest will talk about uh, a bevy of things. I'll do some trivia, I'll do some songs, or some I'll do some kind of um song association. But this year I thought, oh, I'm gonna do something different. I'm gonna have somebody to come in. Um, I'm trying to let some others know that I'm live. So I'm working in the background. Sorry, guys. Of course, I just literally got in the door also. So sorry about this. Um, but usually that's what I do. So I thought, oh, this year I'll do something totally different. I'll have somebody come on to ask me questions. Well, of course, I couldn't find anybody, so I said, oh, I'm going to do an Easter show anyway, so you'll just see my lovely face for the whole. Hopefully, this will be under an hour, but I may go. Uh, I may go a little longer, but since we're so late, we'll start. So, of course, um, I gotta let one more person know, and sorry, I'm putting it on YouTube here. Okay, so sorry. So we're going to talk about, of course, the meaning of Easter. Um, what does it symbolize? Some of my favorite songs, some of my favorite memories. Um, I'm trying to do something else here. Um, Trying to see what else. I'm definitely going to talk about what would I do if I was there. I want to talk about that because I got some things. I'm like, well, if I was there, I wonder how I would act. I'm pretty sure I know how I would react. Um, I might get a tad political, because Trump decided to do a message to the Christians, and I don't know what he was thinking. I'll probably do that first. Um, and I'll tell you what, guys, if you're one of those people that says, "Oh, Easter is a pagan holiday," this show is probably not going to be for you. This show is probably not going to be for you. Um, I'm not one of those people. It kind of irks my nerves that people say that about Easter. So this show probably won't be for you. Um, one more, guys, and I promise I'll get started. But I gotta do this one, and I kind of, when I said I wasn't gonna talk about this, but I noticed some leftist parties didn't wish people happy Easter. I mean, they did for Ramadan, they did for Hanukkah. Um, oh, I forget the other holiday I'm thinking of. But I'm like, oh, okay, so we don't just skip Easter like that. Oh, and of course, I'm going to talk about why Easter is my favorite holiday. Um, like I said, I'm really trying to get this squared away, guys. And you're gonna say you should have had this done. Well, I literally got in the door 10 minutes ago, so trying to get this as quickly as I can, and I'll be with y'all here in just a moment. So I think I'm just going to sorry guys, I'm still address is really long. I'm like, okay. I'm so sorry. This address is like super long. W2T 1E 7K. Okay, let's see did this work. Hope it did. Let's see. Oh shoot. Boo. It still didn't work. I hate that when that doesn't happen. Okay, so I have to I hate that. So let's get started. Let's just get started. And tell your friends, your family, your your cousins, them, that I'm on the air. Um, so again, today is Easter, and what happens is around Easter. Well, no, I'm going to talk about Trump first. So Trump did. Let me just show y'all what he did. Let me just show y'all what he did. I'm not even gonna. I'm not even gonna read this. The fact that evangelicals even voted for this guy is just um I can't. Okay, let's see. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I can't do it. Never mind. So Trump decided to make a screen. So I'm gonna try to see can I find it somewhere else. I forgot I can't share my Edge screen on my Chrome. Um, he did this message to Iran, and um, he did the official one, but he did a message to Iran. So it start, and I'm not gonna read the expletives because y'all know I got a no cussing rule. So Tuesday will be Power Plant Day, and this message is to Iran. And then he released one, like an official one, which I think he didn't write. Um, but he said Tuesday will be Power Plant Day and Bridge Day, all wrapped up in one in Iran. There will be nothing like it. Open, open the bleep straight, you crazy blanks, or you'll be living in blank. Just watch. Praise be to Allah, President Donald Trump. Um, why did evangelicals vote for this man? Why? Why? Just why? I, I don't understand how 83% of y'all just said, "Yep, this is good." Um, if he were, and obviously he was mocking, right? Um, it just amazes me that why would you do that? And the one that I think um he didn't right was Melania or Melanie as he calls her. And I would like to wish everyone very happy Easter, whether you or heading out to church or watching services from home, may this day be full of peace while you're causing war and joy for all those who celebrate the resurrection of Jesus Christ. He is risen. He didn't write that. There's no way he wrote that. He did not. He did not. He did not. He did not. He did not write that. I don't know who it was that wrote it for him, but it wasn't him because no, just no. I'm gonna try this one more time, guys, because I don't like the viewership is low. And it's probably because I'm on at 9 o'clock and nobody's used to me being on at 9 o'clock. I mean, he literally didn't write that. And they ain't gonna turn around talking about you putting a message and that's my peace. And you ain't for peace. So you got let's see who we're battling against. He's talked about taking over Greenland, invading Canada and Mexico, um, Venezuela. We're still in Ukraine. Um, I, I I can't. I just cannot understand how evangelicals think, you know what, this is a good idea. Let me go ahead and vote for this. Let me go ahead um and just go in here and just, you know, um I got one more, guys. I'm so sorry, but I just like Okay, try this one more time. Now, this should be easier. I just had to get a little political there, so let's see, did it work? Yep, it worked. Yay! Hey, it worked. Yes, it worked. So getting past all that foolishness, let's get into let's see what I want to talk about. And I forgot what I said I was going to talk about today, but I want to talk about why Easter is my favorite holiday. I'm a big holiday person. I like getting together with family. Um, I like, the food and the time together with family, and sometimes we play games. And so my top 3 to 4 holidays: Easter is number one, Thanksgiving is number two, Christmas is number three, um, Memorial Day is number four, and then number five is Juneteenth. Those are my top 5 holidays. Um, but Easter holds a special place, and I know I um put Christmas below Easter. To me, Christmas is just it's so corporate, right? You waste money, you go into debt to buy presents that people won't appreciate. And I've never understood that. The birth for me is the setup for the death, right? Um, Christ was born of a virgin birth. Um, but he was born to die, right? He was literally born to die. The whole point of his coming was to do this thing we call reconciling. Again, I'm using terms that my non-Christian audience won't know, but it's called reconciling. So we were apart from God because of sin. And so Christ came to be the substitute for us, right? And so when I think about that type of sacrifice and I think about what it meant and what happened that day and what happened leading up to that, there's a lot of things that I think people miss. There's a lot. Of course, we celebrate today because he rose. That was the ultimate victory. He beat raising. He defeated death and the grave, and yeah, death and the grave and sin. That's a great sin. Yes. And so we celebrate that. Not because we're just, oh, look at me, I'm a Christian. No, it's because we appreciate the sacrifice. We appreciate the crown of thorns and the temple being rent into and all those things that were leading up to it. And I think those things are important to talk about because we don't as Christians, and again, I'm gonna say Easter a lot. So if you're one of those people that's talking about Easter is a pagan holiday, this show's probably not gonna be for you. It just isn't. It just won't be. And I sorry, it's just not. Um, but I think when I think about that ultimate sacrifice, that God put Himself in human form to do that. I can't think of anything that's more meaningful, more impactful, more hope giving. I don't even know if that's a word than that. I can't even compare it. It's hard for me to even put it into words, right? It's very hard for me to say, oh, well, it was this. And some people, most ministers, and I'm not a minister, so don't get it twisted. They do a way better job than I'm doing right now because I'm just like all over the place. And I'm probably going to repeat myself a lot. Um, but I just, there's no words that I have. It's more of a feeling deep in my heart. I have a sense of appreciation and this sense of when things look terrible and they look down and it look like there's no way out because Christ defeated death and the grave. That gives me hope that I can defeat poverty and famine and environmental decay and lack of health care. That gives me hope. That's where I put my hope in. It's hard for me to get, and if you're watching, please comment. But it's difficult for me to say because I'm not really good with words, despite all my talking. It's difficult for me to put into words how I feel. Um, because it's just um I can't quantify it. I can't say it's this and this and this and this and this. But I can tell you some facts about Easter that I can do. So, a couple things to kind of keep in mind. Um, the sun refused to shine. So when you hear, especially if you hear a black preacher say this, they'll say the sun refused to shine. Well, what are they talking about? And I'll tell you now, I'm probably going to read a lot of scriptures today. Um, um, and I'm probably going to come out of the King James Version. So please don't be like, "Well, you're using that one," because I am. Um, Bible Gateway. So, well, first thing we're going to talk about is Luke 23, verses 45. Start at 45 because my second fact is right there. So, let me change the version. And there we go. So, we'll probably read 45 through 49. So again, coming from the King James, don't come in here talking about, "Yeah, you're reading from the King James Version." I'm telling you, I'm reading from the King James Version. So let me change this. And the sun was darkened, and the veil of the temple was rent in the midst, which means rent is means tore apart. And when Jesus had cried with a loud voice, he said, "Father, into thy hands I commend my spirit." Having said this, he gave up the ghost. Now, when the centurion saw that what was done, he glorified God, saying, "Certainly this was a righteous man." And all the people came together to the sight, beholding the things which were done, and smote their breasts and returned. So I said I was going to stop at 48, so I'm going to stop at 48. So there's actually two things that are in there. The sun refused to shine. That's a supernatural darkness. Google says it's a supernatural darkness. The phrase "the sun refused to shine," again said by every Black Baptist preacher, refers to a supernatural darkness that covered the land during the crucifixion of Jesus, found in, I just read it, Luke chapter 23, verses 45 through 40, 44 through 45, but I read to 48. This event, spanning from noon until 3, symbolized divine judgment, mourning, and profound significance of Christ's death. So the earth was dark for at least, see, from noon to 3. So noon to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3. So it was dark for at least 3 hours. And the veil of the temple rent in two, which means it was torn in half. Um, that's fact number one. Um, here's another one you may not know. People, So people were raised from the dead. This is in Matthew 27, verses 52 to 53. And sorry, guys, I'm not sharing this because me and um, me and Sharon have stopped. Okay, so I said Matthew, and then I said chapter 27, and then I said verses 52 and 53. So, and the graves were open, and many bodies of the saints which slept arose and came out of their graves after his resurrection and went into the holy city and appeared to many. So I thought so they're saying after. I thought for some reason it was before. Well, um, tombs, according to AI, broke open at the moment of his death through the resurrection. Ah, tombs broke open at the moment of his death through the resurrected saints reportedly came out of their graves, entered into Jerusalem after Jesus' own resurrection, appearing to many. Um, so the tombs opened on Good Friday, but they didn't resurrect until after Jesus resurrected, if I'm reading this right. Um, that's another fact. Um, let's see. Oh, they knew what I was talking about. I think we all know Jesus was crucified. That was a common Roman practice. So I'm not gonna go over that. I'm pretty sure. Um, um, uh, 12 historical facts. Okay, so this is a good site. So the resurrection of Jesus is the most crucial moment in history. So why do so many people think it didn't happen? I don't know why. Here are 12 undeniable facts that prove the resurrection. The resurrection is Jesus' return from the dead. He appeared in his physical, scarred, and glorified body, never to die again. The best sources about Jesus comes about according to the Gospels, um you got to combine them all together. You can't just look at one. Then they talk about why. Okay, of course we okay, here's the one that people do. Oh, Nelson's in the house. Jesus' mission was to redeem humanity, but only if you put wait a minute, let me read that again. Jesus' mission was to redeem humanity, but only if we put aside the natural man, for the natural man is an enemy of God and take up our cross. Okay, got it. Thank you, Nelson, and thank you for tuning in. Greatly appreciate you. So that lets me know I'm not talking to myself out here. But again, there's other facts that I'm thinking you all know these, but here's one, and I'm guilty of it. We'll say Jesus rose from the grave. Technically, that's not right. He was in a tomb, but we say grave. Like when I hear that, I know what they mean. I know it was a tomb, right? I know it was a tomb and not a grave because the grave is beneath ground. A tomb is kind of like you just walk in it and walk out. Um, it wasn't a grave. And it's in just about every song. It's like he rose from the grave. Eh. like I said, technically it was a tomb, not a grave. But again, I let it slide because one, I do it all the time. And second, I don't want to say it sounds better, but I mean, I'm not gonna trip off of it because I know he rose, right? I think that's the point, is what we're trying to say is he rose. So disciples, they scattered. So when Jesus was arrested, we all know Judas betrayed Jesus with a kiss. Because again, he was so common looking that Judas had to identify him by kissing him, not mouth kiss. Get your minds out together. So they all scattered. Peter denied him 3 times. Of course, Judas had already betrayed him for 30 pieces of silver, but they all scattered. So when that happens, John was the only one at the cross because he told John that Mary, his mother Mary, was now going to be his mother, and that not Peter, but John would be her son. So basically, he said, "Y'all family now." Um, Jesus' resurrection was the center of their message. Uh, Sunday became the primary day of worship. That is true. That is true. It's like because we used to just worship on Sabbath day or what we call Saturday. Well, not we, because I'm not Jewish, but Jews at that time worshiped on Saturday. And then the Jews that became Christians, of course, they worship the first day of the week, which is Sunday. And now Sunday is the primary day of worship. Although, technically speaking, you're supposed to live every day. But, I'm just saying, um, the tomb was borrowed. That's another interesting fact. The tomb did not belong to Jesus. He didn't purchase it. It was owned by I'm gonna try this. Joseph Arimathea owned the tomb. So he let Jesus borrow it because he wasn't gonna need it that long. So that's another fact. Uh da 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 da. Da. They put okay, so this is weird. This is the one that trips me out because people are like, oh well, they stole his body. So they did put a large stone where Jesus' body was at. And why did they put the large stone? Because they thought that his disciples would steal his body, and I believe guards were outside of the stone. So please, agnostic and atheist, please give me your theory about this because it makes no sense to me. If you're going to put the stone there, how the stone get moved? I know how the stone got moved, but I want you to explain to me how the stone got moved. Um, and okay, the empty tomb scene or scriptures, you can find them in Matthew 28 verses 1 through 8, Mark 16, 1 through 8, Luke 24, 1 through 12, John 20, 1 through 8, with the angel appearing to confirm he is not here, he is risen. That's in Matthew 28, 6, Mark 16, 6, Luke 24, 6, and John 20, 12. So you'll find that account in all 4 of the Gospels. Um, try to get this scientist little 12 undeniable facts. Try and get to this other one. Of course, we know Christ's resurrection demonstrates the remarkable power of God. Um, okay, trying to. This is one I never really talk about, but it's true. I just never talk about it. So Christ's resurrection fulfills the enthronement of a king from David's line. In his Pentecost sermon, Peter argues that Christ has been exalted to God's right hand, enthroned as the promised David Davidic king. Acts chapter 2, verses 14 through 36. Peter observes that the tongue speaking, which had just occurred, evidence that the Spirit had been poured out in the fulfillment of Joel chapter 2, which you can find in Acts chapter 2, verses 14 through 21. And then for a background reference on that scripture, read Joel 2, 28 through 32. And it concludes that Christ was exalted through the with authority to pour out that spirit. Um, Peter cites, and this one I am going to read, Psalm 16, verses 8 through 11. So let me go there. Psalm 16. I am going to read that. No, that's not the one. Um, 8 through 11. In Psalm 16, verses 8 through 11 says, I have set the Lord always above me because and this is a Psalm of David. So I have set the Lord always before me because he is at my right hand and I shall not be moved. Therefore, my heart is glad and my joy rejoices in my flesh also shall rest in hope. For thou wilt not leave my soul in hell, neither wilt thou suffer thy Holy One to see corruption. Thou wilt shew me the path of life in the presence of the fulfillments of joy at the right hand, and there are pleasures forevermore. So that was that. And then they refer to a whole lot. Um, Christ's resurrection grants him universal authority. Christ's resurrection vindicates him as Messiah by fulfilling the scriptures. Christ's resurrection confirms his appointment as judge. Um, he's above demonic forces. Christ's resurrection shows he successfully dealt with sin. Um, Christ's resurrection was his own justification and by extension ours, because we are justified by faith. Christ's resurrection enables us to appeal to God for a clean conscience. Having been raised to an indestructible life, Christ makes permanent intercession for believers. Through his resurrection, Christ alienated death and obtained immortality. Christ's resurrection inaugurates the end time resurrection of the dead. Christ represents us in his resurrection, securing our future resurrection. Believers are already experiencing resurrection with Christ inwardly and spiritually. Christ's resurrection ushers in the renewal of creation. Christ's resurrection means our labor is not in vain. Christ's resurrection is the reason for our hope, which I already talked about. Having been raised to life, Christ continues to work and reign today. So those are some of the things. But if you look at it, here's my next point that I don't think. Wait a minute, hold on. Nelson's making comments here. So Nelson says, knows how he said to God into thy hand. Yes, that's actually in Psalm 22. It says, into thy hands, Lord. I think it's Psalm 22. Let me backtrack this. I'm not gonna say every I believe it's Psalm 22. I'm almost certain. Oh, well, okay. I'm thinking of the my God, why has not forsaken me? Okay, that's what I'm thinking of. But yes, he he was willing. But remember, here's another point I want to make. He didn't want to initially go because he said, why am I going? But then he says, not my will, but thine will be done, right? So he eventually goes. But here's another fact, and then I'll get to the kind of fun part. Um, this was set up from the beginning. So if you go all the way back to Genesis, that very first chapter in the Bible, um, and I'll type in Genesis in the cross. Um, if you look at Genesis chapter 3, verse 15, I know this one. I actually know it by heart, but I'm gonna do this. See, I was actually gonna bring out. So 3:15 says, and this is okay, so this is after the fall. So Adam and Eve ate the fruit, which was not an apple, but they ate the fruit, and then God gives them certain prophecies. And Eve's was because I believe he was talking directly to Eve and says, I will put an enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed, and it shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. That is one. Then there's 321. There's the substitute lamb, where Abraham offers Isaac. People use that as a foreshadowing because Abraham offers Isaac as a was going to offer Isaac as a sacrifice, but God had a ram in the bush, a lamb in the bush. Crazy thing. Okay, and then in First Corinthians chapter 15, Jesus is called the second Adam. Um, Now some people believe, um, yeah, okay, so we're not gonna do the um but keep your comments coming in because I know I'm know someplace I'm getting this wrong. And I'm like, okay, let me do. So next thing you notice, okay, so we all again know that Judas was the one that gave him the kiss. And I said, hey, the other disciples, they wasn't like out here in these streets either, and they all ran. But Christ's resurrection was first witnessed by women. Yeah, first witnessed by women. So this one I should absolutely know, but um, so these are the women that witness. Nope, I'm just gonna read this. Um, I'm gonna give you the names of them. So these are the first people that witnessed the resurrection. The male disciples didn't come until later. So, according to the gospel, several women were the first to witness the empty tomb and the risen Jesus, defying first century cultural norms, which women's testimonies were often discounted. See what he did there? See how he put us on Front Street? So, there the following women were there. So there is first Mary Magdalene. She was named in Matthew 28, verse 1, Mark 16, verse 1, Luke 24, verse 10, John 20, verse 1 as a key witness, often listed first. Then Mary, the mother of James, the younger lesser, mentioned in Matthew, Mark, and Luke. Then there's Joanna, identified in Luke 24:10 as one of the women who told the apostles about the resurrection. Then there's Salome. I hope that's right. And she's identified in Mark 16:1. Um, so this is interesting because I think they just need to read their Bible. Like the first people to witness Christ's resurrection were women. Like, how did they deny it? It was right there? If that's what they say they believe, it was right there. It's like it's literally right there. But yeah, they won't, and they won't like the suggestion. I'm like, yeah, these were really preachers, but actually they were not, because if you go back, the woman at the well was the one that told her family. She said, "Come see a man that's told me everything I've ever done." So you could say she was the first preacher. Um, Not preacher, but first woman preacher, right? At this point, the Southern Baptists, they can, ugh. But that's another fact. Another thing is the washing of the hands. So, oh, I hope I get this. I want to say Caiaphas so bad. It's either Caiaphas or Pilate that said, I found no fault in him. That was interesting. Here's one, and people in the comment section tell me this because I cannot find it. I have heard ever since I was a little girl that Jesus went into hell, preached, and then all the souls were saved out of hell. Is that true? Because I know I'm just going to type this because I've heard this ever since I was a little girl. Um, Wait a minute. Did Jesus preach in hell? So they're talking about from First Peter verses 18 through 20. And I'm like, well, did he or did he not? Um, but they're okay, so they're looking at, let me look at this. So First Peter, what was that scripture again? Hold on, y'all. I got it. I'm right there. Peter 3, 18 through 20. And I literally just went over that. Okay, so it says, for Christ also had once suffered for our sins, the just for the unjust, that he might bring us to God, being put to death in the flesh, but quickened by the Spirit, by which also he went and preached unto the spirits in prison, which sometime were disobedient, which once the long suffering God waited in the days of Noah while the ark was preparing, wherein few, that is, 8 souls were saved by water. Okay, because I was like, well, they don't really. Okay, so it wasn't Caiaphas, it was Pilate. So Pilate is the one that washed his hands. Okay, because where am I getting Caiaphas though? Like I'm getting Caiaphas. Caiaphas was the other one. Wait a minute, now y'all got me searching because I'm like, well, wait a minute. Well, Caiaphas was Caiaphas. Jesus. Okay. Okay, so Caiaphas was a high priest, approximately who presided over the Sanhedrin trial and played a key role in the execution. He believed that removing Jesus was necessary to maintain order and prevent Roman intervention following his arrest. So he didn't wash his hands. It was Pilate. Who child, I thought it was Caiaphas. I literally thought, but Caiaphas, okay, so Caiaphas was under the Sanhedrin trial. Okay, okay, okay. Last fact that nobody ever thinks about. I already talked about the sky was dark, the earthquake. I asked somebody that's not a believer to tell me how the stone got rolled away and why they put guards in and what happened to the guards. Nobody's ever answered that. I mean, I know the answer. Um, Another fact that I don't think people think about is, and this one we get, I run into this all the time, where Jesus says, Father, forgive them. This is a personal one. People have the hardest time forgiving people. And I'm like, that's the whole point of the Christian faith, right? How do you profess to be his if you can't forgive? Because he said, if you don't forgive others, he wouldn't forgive you. And you're telling me you won't forgive, which means you don't want his forgive. Huh? Yeah, sometimes y'all don't make sense to me. And I'm like, um, Christ was the first to be resurrected because it is given to him the power to give his life and to take it up again. The rest of us depend on him to gain our resurrection unto celestial glory. Um, but I think that's the thing. I'm like, So next subject, because it's almost 10. Yeah, I usually am not this late. So two more topics to go. As much as I love Easter, and I do, again, it's my favorite holiday. There are some things I either miss or I'm like, don't never do that again. And my sister, who was on here, I don't know if she remembers this. Did we take place? Did we take part in Easter egg hunts? I can't remember. I don't remember me taking part in an Easter egg hunt as a child. So, for you all that don't know, a lot of times during Easter, churches will have Easter egg hunts. They'll color eggs, pastel colors usually, and they'll hide them in the grass, and the children will go look for them. I cannot remember me taking part in an Easter egg hunt because I thought our dad was like, nope. So I can't remember. I don't miss it because I never did it. Um, Another thing I never did, the Easter speeches. Now y'all gonna be like, what? So again, you're gonna have to go to black church to know this. So on Easter Day, what they would do to get the children involved is they would give the children Easter speeches. Normally, like the older children got to say what Easter meant to them, but the younger children would get like just a scripture or something, right? They wouldn't get anything like hard. You could tell their parents was helping them. You could tell their parents was helping them. Um, I still don't think that preachers have a hard time. The Easter sermon should be basically the easiest one. You got 3 words. He got up and you done. That's the whole thing. Like that's what we waiting on. Um, that can't be hard to do. I don't imagine it's hard to do, but I wouldn't know. But I'm just saying it doesn't sound hard because it just doesn't seem hard to me. I'm like, he got up. You done? You might want to throw in it and he's coming back. But basically, for Easter, those are the 3 words you got to hit. And you can't just hit it at the beginning, right? It's got to be right there at the end. And this gets to my last one. What would I do if I were in those times? Let's just say I'm one of the women. I'm just wondering what, and I got to, yeah, I got to take my insulin pump with me because they didn't have them back then. They didn't even have diabetes diagnosed back then. But oh well, um, fainting. That probably the first thing I'm gonna do. Um, I would probably faint. I can't even imagine me not fainting. I think that would be the number one thing that I would do. Second, I probably lose control of my bodily functions. I can't just imagine we just entombed your body. We're going to come into your body so you can be properly buried. And now you sit here walking around. So yeah, I would faint. Um, I would lose bodily fluid capacity. It would just be gone. I'm probably gonna tell somebody. Oh, I'm telling everybody. Well, that's what we should do. But I'm just saying, I'm gonna go tell. Calling people. I'm calling people and email. They ain't had that back then, but okay, let's just say they did. I'm definitely calling people. Or telling them. I'm telling everybody. I'm like, hey, come see a place. Come see the place where he used to lay. I'm telling somebody. I ain't gonna just sit there and keep to myself like, okay, we gonna just not say nothing and then I'm telling somebody. So far in my list, I got faith, lose control over my bodily functions. I'm gonna tell somebody. Um, I'm gonna wonder, am I seeing things? Right? I should have faith, and I do have faith. Um, but yeah, I'm probably gonna have a lookout. But like I'm looking right at him, and it's no wonder that Thomas said, "Hey, unless I touch you and see the scars and the unless I touch you, see your scars, I won't believe because it would make sense. It would just be like I gotta see something. I gotta see something. Because us with little faith, seeing is believing. And so that's nothing. I don't understand why Thomas gets trashed for that statement he made because it makes sense to me. Um, I do want to read that though. I do want to read that. Um, wait a minute. Yeah, I want the Bible verse. Okay, so I don't know why they call him Doubting. Okay, I'm gonna put KJV. KJV. Do, 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 do. Okay, so John chapter 20, verses 24 through 29, although they start at 25. Thomas says, except, oh, I see what they did. They skipped it. So 25 says, except I see in his hands the print of his nails and put my finger into the print of the nails and thrust my hands into his side, I will not believe. Then in 27, he says, then he said, he to Thomas, and see here, Jesus doesn't even deny him. He says, okay, reach hither thy finger and behold my hands, and reach hither thy hand and thrust it in my side, and be not faithless, but believing. Then in 29, Jesus says unto him, Thomas, because thou hast seen me, thou hast believed. Blessed are those that have not seen and yet have believed. Now that's us. That's us. Haven't seen him, but we still believe. Nelson's got another comment. Christ's resurrection fulfills prophecy of a promised covenant between. Absolutely. And that's another fact I don't know why I skipped this. It was set up from the beginning of time. The Bible literally says, wait a minute, and I'm going to read this one. Okay, wait a minute, I'm going to read this before. So, okay, so the next one I'm going to read is uh it is First Peter chapter 1, verses 19 through 20, but it says, but with the precious blood of Christ as a lamb without blemish and without spot, who verily was foreordained before the foundation of the world, but was manifest in these last times for you. So the whole thing was a setup. He was already crucified before the world even formed. And that to me is why Easter is always going to be my favorite holiday because he already knew that Adam and Eve were going to fall. So he was already crucified before I came, before you came, before Adam and Eve came, right? And There's so many things about this holiday. I was gonna talk about my favorite songs, but I've been going this for an hour, and I did not know I was talking an hour. Yeah, I did not know. I didn't even know people were gonna tune in to hear me blabber on and on and on and on about this. Hopefully next year I will get somebody that's way better than me at doing this, because I think there's so many things about Easter we miss. And again, this show is not for it's a pagan holiday people. That this show ain't gonna be for you. But what I hope to do is, of course, share my faith. That's what I always want to do. Um, yep. But when Jesus was walking on water, one of his disciples wanted to also, but it failed because of his doubt. He looked back. Yep, he doubted and he almost fell. But I'll say it like this: if you don't take anything away from what I'm saying tonight, take away the hope of Easter. Christ's resurrection should give you hope. Despite the circumstances, despite us being in war with Iran, wars between Afghanistan and Pakistan, wars in Ukraine, Russia versus Ukraine, Venezuela, president that wants to take over the world, we have hope. We are not without hope. And I know that's a hard message for some people to hear, but it's something that I believe in my heart. And I wanted to share a bit of that. And I'll continue to do Easter shows as long as I'm on YouTube. I literally don't care that probably nobody will watch this. It doesn't matter. I got two people, so I'm doing good. Um, but I think it's time to look to hope. And that hope can only come from his resurrection. It can't come from any place else. And while I respect other religions of the world and their ability to practice their faith openly, I'm gonna tell you he died. That's just basically what it's gonna come down to. And that's what I'm gonna do. Um, I, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Like I said, I did not think I was gonna go an hour. I thought maybe 30 minutes, but apparently I got more to share. I didn't talk about my favorite Easter songs. Um, Blood Will Never Lose Its Power. Don't Cry by Kurt Franklin. They Didn't Know by the Kurt Carr Singers. Um, it was Love That Kept Him on the Cross by, I think, the Mississippi Mass Choir. Um, Matthew 28 by the Tri-City Singers. Tri-City Singers. Hope I said that right. But join me on Thursday. I will be interviewing Joe Tubakar. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. I'm probably not, but he'll be here on Thursday. Then that'll be at 7. Then we'll do the Saturday show. Then we'll do the Sunday show where I'll get back to politics. Um, I thank you all. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll be at our regular times. I will not be on this late, but like I said, I had an event, um, kind of hanging out with my family today, and so I wanted to do this show because, again, Easter is my favorite holiday. Always has been, always will be. Um, I just wanted to share that with you. So be encouraged that help was here. It is here. Hold on to that. Don't let that go. I will see you all Thursday. Bye bye.